was recorded and thank you.
Okay. But additional would be one way to,
I thought you ordered it in the beginning when you were talking about it, but it was something about that Becca only did a certain amount, or they didn't help this certain student, and that was really kind of where or what the starting point was. But
okay, so
I have a question. Is it my understanding that Becca helps only one member per family, or is this incorrect?
no, that is correct, unless they sometimes choose. I was just worked this morning in food bank with Marty, and so we were reviewing all of that, and that's what, no, that is correct, unless they make an exception. But I mean, their policy, so we can't talk about their exceptions, but their policy, you know, which was real clear on, is one child per family. Which is almost always the university kid, obviously, because they're the one in the most need. But if they have two of university age, they only do that.
So perhaps we don't have to have that kind of policy and say, okay, this is open to students who are in need of a scholarship within this area. And it's obvious that if it's a person that, you know, we could ask the applicant, are you receiving any scholarship from any other organization, without being specific? And then if it's not, then proceed with the application. I don't know. What do you mean? What do you
well, and I do that once we get into the application process. We'll go through that, because I specifically ask who you're getting help from, so we can kind of get the picture at the end of their financial picture, as we're trying to define who is in need. That I don't want to make it just so weird that the puzzle piece that fits with Becca, but so that it kind of stands on its own, but likewise recognizes what Becca does or doesn't do. Who needs additional or financial assistance, or needs greater financial assistance than currently available to them? Does that, or do people think Becca covers everything for everybody? I mean, I don't know what the general public knows about what Becca does.
I just know people are going to ask the question. So if we spell it out now as to here's why we're doing this, it'll alleviate us having to answer that question every time.
Okay, this was beyond funds that are currently available. What if we say that? So that doesn't, I don't want to name Becca in here.
Well, you could just say it goes, you know, above and beyond what some current scholarship programs offer, or something. I don't know.
Available. Okay. Okay, that would take care of that. The other thing that isn't, I could put university and or graduate degree. I don't know if they know that after your 4 years, you're out of Becca. So if you're not done with your degree, if you're going to medicine, you need more than that. Can't do it in 4 years. University. I mean, those are things that make it apply, but somebody, I guess somebody who's going to ask the question, we would need to put Becca in. We would need to name drop, and I'm not sure we want to. University. If we mention graduate degree, does that help, or just?
Well, we don't know. We're barely starting. You can either include it, and then as we go along, make a review and see if it can continue or not. But I don't think it really. I think it would be a good thing, because we don't know what students are going to apply, right?
Right. Yeah, we don't. Okay, but I can put things in there that at least clearly differentiates it from Becca. And graduate degrees would be one. Funds, additional funds would be another. So other than that, are we comfortable with who this is outlining?
Yeah.
Beyond that, so we've dealt with need, we've dealt with our service area, we've dealt with their responsibility in terms of academic performance, and we've talked about service and that they need to be in a program study. Okay. So going from that, and that was what I was working with, then I started working on the application form, which is going to be a bit on the long side here. Let me see if
I don't think it's long.
oh, good. I think
I save it on my desktop. Would you like me to share the application? For you?
Yeah, that's what I'm going. I've got it on mine too, but I can't get to it at the moment.
Okay, so let me see.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
I think I got it. I got it.
there you go.
Finally. I can only think about one thing at a time, obviously, even if that. So here's what I was doing, and here's my thinking, and still have questions. Obviously, an area for personal information. By the way, I drew from the application form from Becca some, and I drew some from the one that they use in Tijuana, the program that Miriam works with, and kind of combine those with a few other things. So the first part just deals with their kind of contact information and age and email. So that's pretty straightforward. Then I'm starting to focus both on their locations, geographic location, to know that they're included in our pool, and the area of need. So we can ask for their, and maybe this form only has one, but we might have several lines in there that ask the name of their parent or guardian and the occupation, and make assumptions about that. Also asking for the parent address, in that's another thing to establish geography if they're in our domain, because the student themselves may not be living here, but their parents were and they grew up here. So we've got that question answered a bit, and contact information if we thought we needed it. I thought it might be helpful, and it gets to that, do we have more than one student at the university issue? If we ask how many people live in the household, and then got kind of an age distribution in terms of how many are in K-12, how many are at the university, how many are working full-time, how many part-time, and then a spot for any other financial resources or demands, any extenuating information that they would like to volunteer. Do you think that gives you enough information that we can make general assumptions about what resources the student has coming toward them? I'm getting later on, we deal with what the university's doing and what it costs, but
I think the address needs to be broken out to force people to put in not just their street, but their community. So they have to add more information if it's just a blank line. So we probably need to break it out to get the full information. Okay. And I also think, obviously this has to get translated into Spanish, but once it's in Spanish, why don't I make a digital version of it so you actually fill that out online instead of having to deal with the paper? I
would love it if all of this application was done online and they submit everything online. I think
I'll make this whole thing into a form on the website that's only available if we give out that link.
That would be perfect. That would, I think.
Would be nice.
Exactly what.
But
and the students obviously are used to dealing with stuff that way, and they can then just link their documents to it, and we will have it all in one place. Oh, that would really be a help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, and that way we don't, I mean, I tried to do the spacing a bit so it didn't go on over pages and pages, but other information about financial resources, you don't know how much space to allow for that on a physical piece of paper, but in digitally, it's great because if they have nothing to say, just move on. If you've got a lot to say, then let us know.
Yeah.
But that might give us, because I keep thinking of all the possible things, but this gives them the opportunity to say something if there is some demand that's happening in their family, a major medical or whatever they want to say, they can put it in there. Okay.
Is GPA a thing down here? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No?
It is. Yeah, and it's required on all of the scholarships that I've seen.
Okay.
It's a common
And is it
requirement.
called GPA or called something else?
It's called something else, but I did it in English, so.
Okay. Yeah, once this is all in Spanish, then I'll start working on the form for you.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Okay, I'll have to check to see the translation into Spanish, so if you can, I'll look into the application, so we won't.
Right. And Father Jesse has, I know he uses it, but so does Becca. And so I think you could find it on either of those forms.
Yes, because many
I
of their
had them-
sponsors are from the States, so perhaps that's why.
Mm,
Mhm.
they well, no, they don't use GPA. I use GPA. I had to Google the word to figure out what it was. Oh, that's GPA. Okay, now I can make it so
Point average.
so that this grade group understands it, but we'll have to, yes, that's going to be that will be the case, and that would be something, would be wonderful, Miriam, if you look through. These are the ways I ask it, the ways that it would be asked in English, but obviously once you switch languages and cultures and school systems, it might be different. So whatever needs to be reworked to make sense to them is perfectly okay. Okay, so then moving on to their educational program, the name of the high school where they graduated. Again, that's another geography establishing piece. Name of the university and the location of the campus. So you might go to UABC in Mexicali or in Ensenada or wherever you go. So that just kind of lets us know how that goes. What their major is and what their career or maybe even career goal. Write that down. Because sometimes you major in one thing, but you really, like we had somebody who was majoring in criminology, but his career goal was to be who's the guy that then after they die and figures out what they died from? That guy, the coroner. That's it. Yeah, that was his career goal, was to be that. So he had, beyond his criminology degree, he's got more schooling. So that's why I put major in their career goal, kind of, or they might major in something, but their career goal is to be a lawyer or something else that would, it's an advanced degree. So the Mexican school systems or university systems at any rate work in two different ways. UABC, and maybe all the publics, I don't know, works in semesters. So they have a fall semester and a spring semester, and that's it. And students refer not by freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, but they usually refer to themselves by semester. I'm a fourth semester, such and such. But given that, there's the semester system, and then there's another system, which I put quarter because that more directly aligns with ours. In my thinking, it's a trimester system, but
it's the fourth month. They call it cuatrimestre because it's 4 months. It's not a 6 months or 3 months. It's a 4th month, and I think it's 3 different blocks of 4 months, and they call it cuatrimestre. Yeah, and I'm sorry that I interrupt you, but I've noticed that Brenda raised her hand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, she did. I'm sorry, Brenda.
Brenda, ¿tienes alguna pregunta?
Sí, Miriam, con respecto al formulario que nos presenta Leslie,
sí.
Lo estoy leyendo y veo que no tiene agregado algo haciendo mención a la labor social. Un problema que hemos tenido aquí con los becados es que no quieren hacer nada y tienen que aprender que las cosas son recíprocas. Entonces, lo único que hacen es una vez al año limpiar las escuelas y la verdad es un verdadero problema y es una tristeza que solamente quieran ir y ahora sí, como se dice vulgarmente, parar la mano y como si fueran niños bonitos, pues recibir dinero y ya me voy. Entonces, con el proyecto de Matthew, que es el otro muchacho que nos presentó lo de las becas de los universitarios, estamos trabajando para erradicar ese problema. Entonces, ahí con Matthew, eso sí se les pide como principal actividad, que tengan una actividad social en la comunidad una vez al mes. No es tan seguido, pero es una vez al mes. Entonces, pues prácticamente todos los meses hay una actividad con los estudiantes y esa parte, bueno, pues ya los va involucrando un poquito en la labor social.
Okay, so just in short, what Brenda mentions, if you can go back a little bit upward on your application, did you mention something about social service from as a requirement from the student to be
Yes.
able to apply? Where
Yeah.
is that?
No, not at the point of application.
Oh, okay.
Although there is a place later on they can talk about it.
It's in the future.
But what I thought we would be ahead to do would be service projects that we know about, that we monitor, that we collect. So as part of the program, now that you're in the program, services is an expectation.
And this is her Brenda's comment that she was not in respect to the application. She said she didn't see a requirement, let's say, to give some social service, because it's been growing in terms of this attitude of the students that they're just receiving help for their scholarship, but they don't pay back into the community. So Brenda mentions that she's working with Matthew in developing this program and have a requirement for help for their scholarships, because I believe Brenda has a nonprofit as well, and they have also a scholarship program within her small organization, and it is a requirement for each applicant student to have some sort of participation and some social service within the community, and they have this activity once a month. So, and it was just a comment from Brenda.
Then let Brenda know that we're going to talk about service next time. And I see it coming in. I see it also as important and for sure important with Rotary, but not that you have to do the service before you apply, but as part of the program. That way we can talk with them about what we see as good service and appropriate, and the amount and the type, and monitor it. We'll all come to agreement.
So is this like a service, like social service would be included in the application as a requirement? How would you address it in the future? I'm not quite clear.
Here's how my thinking is on it. It's not in the application, although we need to state, and I have not done that here, and I think that is a good point. On the application, I need to make it very clear that social service is required as part of this.
Okay, menciona Leslie que sí, no está ahorita en la aplicación, pero sí lo va a incluir como parte de la aplicación, como requisito para calificar para la beca, el que tengan algún tipo de servicio social en la comunidad. And then I think we have to be a little more specific in terms of giving them a list of items in which they can give their social service, right?
When I see that happening, and that's what we're going to be talking about next time. I see that happening after they're in the program. Before they get any money, they will have a social service plan.
Okay, menciona que sí lo ve Leslie a futuro, que antes de que ellos reciban, que el estudiante reciba su beca, se quede como un acuerdo en qué servicio social puede servir. ¿Qué opinas,
Sí,
Brenda?
sí. Sí, no, está muy bien. Es una parte de cierta manera para que los chicos aprendan que las cosas aparte se ganan, tienen que hacer esfuerzo. Yo a los chicos que están aquí de Matthew, pues están haciendo labor social y funciona bien porque los enseña a ser agradecidos.
So she says that so far it is important for them to actually earn it. And it helps the students that so far she's been doing this with Matthew and is giving positive feedback.
Okay, great. Well, and her activities would be ones I created a list. Again, we'll go over that next time, but that would be the perfect time to add that in and add her activities to that list. I wasn't aware of them, but of things that they might do for social service.
Dice que estaría excelente que quizás se agregara la lista, por ejemplo, en qué los están utilizando para su servicio social, Brenda.
Por ejemplo, tenemos a la dentista va y les da una clase a los niños sobre la manera del cepillado, los cuidados dentales, todo lo que es relacionado a su carrera en el cuidado dental.
So, for
Tenemos
instance, permíteme tantito, Brenda, necesito hacer la traducción. She says that, for instance, there is a student in dentistry, and for her, she actually gives a class to the children, to the smaller students in dental care. So that's how she provides her service. And they want to connect, their social service to their career goals and so forth, which is great.
Can I ask that we discuss that next time, because otherwise we're not going to get through this part, but it is critical, and if we need to come back and add something in, but I think most of that is going to be addressed, and we'll be all set to add it in.
Okay. Brenda menciona a Leslie que es magnífico, pero ¿qué te parece si esto lo discutimos a futuro? Porque ya ella trae su programa, pero de antemano eso ya estaba en mente, pero sí sí te va a agradecer que a futuro, para la siguiente vez, quizás ya sea algo para hablar un poquito más a fondo. ¿Te parece?
Ok, sí.
Gracias.
Okay, so we've talked about the semester or the quarter or the trimestre. No, cuatrimestre.
Cuatrimestre.
Okay, so system, but we'll collect that information because it makes a big difference how often you pay your money. So we're figuring that up. Their GPA, and then the next page really looks at their university finances. So we're asking what format they need. Is it by quarters or by semesters? What their tuition is for 1 year, which is going to make it much easier to compare because everybody pays for a year that way. Holds the time period constant. It asks here if they're part of the La Misión Beca program. All right. And then a little chart that they can fill out that deals with their financial support that they're receiving, with a couple examples. So if they went to Xochicalco and they have a scholarship from them for 1,000 pesos each semester, then I just do those as examples so the students would know how to fill that in. So if
I have a question here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but why do we need to know how much they're receiving from other programs?
Because we're trying to figure out what they're lacking. For instance, just in a hypothetical, because we ask them how much it costs per year, and it costs this much. Okay, do they have 100% scholarship for that much? So really they don't pay anything? Or do they have a 50% scholarship, which would be good, but they still need more? And so that way we kind of have an idea of what their need is at the end. Okay. And as we're comparing students, we'll know the ones that I'm trying to get at who's most critical for need here.
Thank you. Yes.
And I know the universities say, especially the private ones, say they offer scholarships. In reality, I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure they do, but I don't know if those are common or not common, or how they work that. But if that's part of their educational plan, that's fine. So we know what you have that's coming in, we know what you have that's going out. Now we're trying to, then would kind of be comparing apples to apples, I think.
Yes, collecting data. Thank you, Leslie. Yes.
Okay. And then any other information they had about financial needs. So they may need computer programs, as we had talked about before. They may need other sorts of things that they hadn't mentioned. So that's kind of the fill in the blank part. We got information about their demographics, about their family, their educational abilities, because we've got the GPA in there, and their educational financial requirements. So that would be one part of the application process. The next part would be an essay that they would write, and again, would submit online. That's how we would want it. That would be one page that they would write about themselves. They'd give, starting out with their name of what they're studying and where, and then to look at by the way, this part from here on down was taken directly from work I did with Becca students last year, as I was looking to create the brochure. Information came right from, as a result of students responding to this part. It wasn't part of their application because they didn't apply. They just did it because we asked them to. and many of them did, and it really helps getting their story out, because as we go into our budget needing to get donors, we need to be able to have the donors understand who the kids are and what the needs are, and how wonderful and capable they are, and how much they can help by supporting them. So the idea behind the questions, this pretty much is exactly what this comes from, but it gave a wonderful opportunity into the student in a short, one page. It wasn't laborious for them to write or us to read, but it gave you an idea who the student was by the fact they could select what they wanted out of here. Their career, what they want to do after graduation, what were their dreams, who has given you inspiration, what was it like growing up in your area, what were your experiences in college, jobs that they'd had while they were in school, who inspired them to go to the university, interests or hobbies, passion, service projects, which is one place I asked for that. So people who've already done that would be wonderful to hear about. What's your favorite class or teacher and why? What are obstacles to your education? Anyone who could think of other questions that should be there, that would be great. What I was looking to do in coming up with those is to try to, so often when people are fundraising in these kinds of situations, the idea is, how pitiful can we make these kids sound? And using that as the draw for funding. And I really thought it would be a disservice to the students as well as everything else. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for, who are you? What have you done? Where are you going? And then how can we help you? Kind of is the rest of it, because they really are a great group of kids. So that was what I wanted to be able to put out. And so that's how that goes. In this, Benet.
Yeah, just some feedback. Have we decided that who our scholarship participants are? Will they be college students, or are they going to be the Rotary for Kids? Because then we could tailor the questions around, you know, the population who we're targeting. And then the other thing, the first question,
what question would you have? And I'm not too sure what you're thinking.
so if the scholarship's not going to a college student, then we can take out the question of your experiences in college.
Oh, no, if we look at our target group, if we go with what was written there, and if not, that's what we need to do. They needed to be accepted and enrolled in a
Oh,
university course of
yeah,
study.
of course. Sorry about that. My brain is lagging. And the first question, what's your name? Does that need to be part of the questions? Because we're saying pick 3 or 4 questions. Will that be confusing for them? Would they think then they could choose that as one of the questions? What's your name?
Okay.
Does that need to be
maybe I
as part
can
of the
write that.
questions?
Mhm. I put a then select after you did your name and studying and do it, but
And what are you?
I can also,
Oh, and then also, what are you studying? Because it's at the top, and then it's also as part, and then it's saying, then select 3 or 4 of the questions below. I see that it's starred, yeah, but to
yeah,
me,
I can also put a line in there so that they understand that's just,
separate it, yeah.
and what I wanted is for all of these to, I mean, you learn about a lot about the students by the questions they selected to answer. And it's interesting, and I wanted them to be different so that as we use them for any of our fundraising, everything doesn't sound just exactly the same, but it starts with an introduction of the student and then goes off in whatever direction the student wanted, whatever they want to say about them. It's not us saying anything about them, it's them saying something about themselves. So sharing
Yes,
whatever they choose to share.
But I think I understand what Benet is saying. So on the instructions, you already mentioned to please give your name and also what you're studying. So, and that's why you put the asterisks
Yeah.
on those
And
two.
I can also put a line under there and that might help separate those two with the asterisks with the line, do those, and then here we go. It wasn't an issue, but I also gave them the instructions live, so it's different when they're seeing it on a form.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think will be helpful, and because now that we've done it, I have 12, 15 of these that are good, that we can post some of the ones, some various ones that the students have already done, previous students, and they can see how they go, and which sometimes is better than trying to even write it out. Oh yeah, give me an example. Okay, I can do that. I can see I start here and here. Oh, this one talked about this. We'll make sure that the examples are diverse so they don't think they have to do it just exactly the same. But
and maybe if you don't want to put a line under what are you studying, maybe start with the questions and just number them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a number next
I
to
would,
that.
but I'm afraid they would start at the beginning and try to answer them all, or think that some were more important than the others. So I really kind of wanted them to be swimmy out there so they would pick out and see what popped up.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I don't have a priority. I for sure don't. I want them to set the priority. So
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't think that. But I can break that down, and especially now that I know that they can do this online, it gives me a little bit. It can be answer and then and then it could be a line that says choose 3 or 4 of the questions below. I can kind of set it clearly into 2.
So keep in mind for this part, the essay, it's likely that they're gonna do that after the fact when they fill out the form, so it might need to be two different things where they fill out this form, they hit submit, but then they've got to work on this essay and then submit it somehow else.
Well, could there
Maybe
be a
email.
spot that, yeah, that they would, you know, some kind of a Dropbox, some kind of a something that, yes, that's the idea, is they don't create it online. These are the instructions, but then maybe you tell me how that would go, but down below, this is submit here.
Yeah,
Don't write it here. I for sure don't want you to do that. Write it and work on it and do whatever you want to, and then submit here.
probably the thing to do will be before they submit the form, the last part is you need to do an essay, and when you hit submit, we'll send you instructions, or maybe it has the instructions, but it follows up when the form's submitted, they get a response, and in that email response, it has the requirements and then where to send it. Because it's gonna be a two-step process, because this
Oh,
is gonna
for
take
sure.
them some time. So there isn't really a clean way for them to log back in, enter in their account, and then attach this to it. So it'll make more sense that they may send it to us, because it's not like you're gonna get thousands of these. Send it to us, and then we attach it to their application.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You're right. That logging back in and getting back to your, yep, I see your pro.
That would create a much bigger system that we'd have
Oh,
to
yeah.
try to do, which we don't want to do.
So we could have two places, because at the end, what I would like for them to do is to submit a copy in Spanish and a copy in English, even if they only did it through Google Translate, because otherwise we have to translate them all. So we'll just have them do that. And so we will have that understanding that Google Translate isn't the smoothest in the world, but that's okay. It will at least give all of us access to what they said in one language or another. Okay. Okay, so they do the first part. Well, that'd give us a handle on how many we had, and we'll, I guess what I would like for them to know. Okay, and I could do that. I'll think on that. So, you know, maybe even next steps or whatever. So they read over it and they see what it is, because they might decide, oh, that sounds like more work than I want to do, and that's fine. They don't have to. We'll work with somebody else, you know.
You can give a limit of, I don't know, 400 words.
Right.
Saying
And I
400
say
words,
one page.
please let us know about this
Right.
and so forth. And I was wondering if everything could just be in one, because there's parts where you can just type your brief paragraph at a certain limit of words, and they could just send it in. But I don't know how that.
I would really rather give them the time to work up what they
think
want to
about
say.
it and work on it.
And or at least have that option. I guess they could jump off and do the other real quick and jump back on again, but I think we'll get a better quality of work, which is what we want.
Okay.
Okay. I will work on that, because I'd like to give them an idea of these are the things that you need to do, and kind of what's involved. And I will work on it. I think it's a good point. So these have to be done separately and then sent to us. Okay, Scott, so help me think this through. So they've done their first part. We say, okay, you're going to have essays, pictures, and a short video, you know, instructions to follow, you know. So we get that, we send them back. Okay, here are the instructions on your essay, or we send them 3 different things. Here's your essay, here's your pictures, here's your video. Maybe we have to do it that way. So if that's the case, what was I going to say? Shoot, I lost it. Or if we gave them the second part, said, these are what you have to do when they're done, attach them here. So they do their essay, they've got it. They do their video, they've got it. They do their pictures, they've got it. You come and attach and send them all in at once. Does that work?
So the way the form will work is they'll fill out the information and submit the form.
Okay,
But once they submit that form, there's no way to get back to it.
okay,
So the only other option is they attach the essay to the form when they submit it. But the problem is that they can't really fill out the form until they've got the essay.
okay. And I've got you on that part, but there's 4 separate things that they need to do: the application form, the essay, the video, and the pictures.
Mhm.
So if we do the application form as your kind of your foot in the door, you do that, then we say, okay, the next time you need to submit these 3 things together.
So what I could do is create a secondary form that says, once you've completed these things, go to this page and attach all of your documentation, and then it submits to us.
I think it will be much clearer on not losing it on our end, because now
Sure.
we'll only have 2 things we're trying to match, and them not forgetting, saying, well, did I do that or did I not, or did it go
Sure.
through or not, or whatever. So yeah, that would work. That would work
Okay.
slick. That would work slick. Okay.
Brenda, en corto, nada más para darte un poquito de introducción, Scott ofreció poner que se haga la aplicación en línea para que los estudiantes que estén interesados en calificar o aplicar para una beca lo hagan en línea. Y ahorita lo que se está dialogando es cómo se puede hacer este formato en línea para que manden su aplicación y también puedan mandar lo que es una carta de presentación del estudiante, y Leslie también menciona un video y fotografías del estudiante. I'm sorry, I had to summarize it for Brenda.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
'Cause
Sí, y la pregunta es, Miriam, ¿únicamente se becaría a los universitarios?
And she's asking if this would be scholarships only for university students. Es lo que estábamos hablando, estudiantes universitarios y con carreras ya más avanzadas. So this would be for university students and higher education, right, Leslie?
Yep.
Sí.
Okay, so we would have the essay piece that gives us an idea. You know, Becca and Marty and I were talking about it. Becca works with their students from the 5th grade on, so they know exactly who's there. We don't have that luxury. So, you know, especially as we start into areas like Primo Tapia, where we don't know many people at all. You know, this is kind of our window into who are we, you know, who is this person and what do they do and what do they enjoy. So, so that for us as a selection committee is why I think these are going to be important to help make the students more real rather than just numbers on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. So if we do that for essay questions, and if you think of other essay questions that you want to have in the pool, please let me know. Then we can do a photo section, and these are samples. These are the ones that the students submitted last year. And we talked to them long and hard about having them do something where they were active rather than just kind of a stand there and, you know, take a picture of my face. And not that their faces aren't cute, but we want to see them and imagine them in their career or what they're doing or in their studies or even at the library. Some did that because they didn't have quite hands-on a thing as these did. But I think
I was going to translate. Brenda, menciona Leslie que en cuestión de las fotografías, ella menciona que, un poquito hacia atrás, si tienes alguna opinión o alguna sugerencia para agregar alguna otra pregunta Aquí en la hoja de presentación se les dan una lista de preguntas de las que ellos pueden elegir 3 o 4 de las preguntas para hacer su carta de presentación. Pasando al siguiente paso, menciona Leslie que en cuestión de las fotografías, que sean fotografías en que los jóvenes estén activos en las carreras que están estudiando, no solamente una fotografía de ellos, sino algo que ilustre en lo que están ellos envueltos y que tenga que ver con su carta de presentación. Thank you, Leslie.
Okay. And then the last thing that they would need to do, we can give them instructions on once they fill out that first part, is the video piece. And what I imagine this doing, and again, if this is all online, it will just make it so much easier. Basically, there's to record a 30 to 1 minute video addressing one of the essay questions above, and just to give them a focus. But we can have then samples from this group that I did with the Becca students. And Becca students all signed releases, and I have the release ready for this as well. That'll be kind of part of that. I'm going to put that in there. They need, when they submit these, they need to sign a release on it as well, or not, but they don't have to. But if they
I think
would
it's
like,
important
if
they're going to
we
be showing
can't
their
use it,
pictures.
yeah, we can't use them if they don't.
Okay.
And so, and I don't know if it would knock them out of the opportunity to get a scholarship, but we need to have it if we want to be able to use
También
these.
menciona Leslie un video en el que pueden. So you're talking about the video of being part of their essay?
Of their application process.
Of their application process.
Mhm.
So what if instead of sending an essay, they just send the email, in regards to their essay? I don't know.
That they didn't write an essay, but they would write an email instead of an essay?
They will send a video instead of the essay. I don't know. With that short.
Okay, it makes it easier on us if they do both. And I'll tell you another reason to do it, for a couple of reasons. I think both are better. The essay is longer than the video.
Mhm.
And although the students generally were comfortable because they post things in video, some of them did wonderful video productions, but others of them wrote wonderful essays because that is their better mode of presenting themselves and information than standing with a camera on them, which I must say would probably be mine too. So it kind of gives us a couple of windows in and a couple of ways to be able to use the information. The written form is what we can use in doing brochures, in doing all sorts of written stuff, in doing newsletters, in doing, anything we want to do that way, that is pulled from their pictures and their written essays. If we want to do things like presentations to Rotary clubs, then we might have some of that, but then having a video or two of the students talking is more important, is the thing that will be of most interest.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie, for explaining. Yeah, it makes sense. Let me just translate for Brenda. Brenda, como parte de la aplicación, mencionas la aplicación, la carta de presentación y un video que sea como más o menos de 1 minuto, en el que el estudiante nuevamente diga algo sobre él. Y esto es para conocer un poquito más al estudiante. Le mencionaba a Leslie si en lugar de la carta de presentación por escrita sería el video. Menciona que la carta de presentación escrita ayudaría en muchas cosas porque los estudiantes a veces se comunican mucho mejor en manera escrita, les daría tiempo para pensarlo y todo eso. Y también se puede utilizar, digamos, para hacer panfletos para las personas que estén donando a este programa. Entonces, para eso es que se buscaría la carta de presentación por escrito y el video, que también se puede utilizar los videos para presentarlo al club más adelante.
Muy bien, sí. Y ahí le pueden agregar inclusive en el video, Miriam, la meta, porque los chicos no saben trabajar con metas y es importante que se establezcan metas a corto plazo, ¿verdad? Porque pues las carreras ahorita casi todas duran 3 años.
Mm-hmm. So she says that it's a great idea, and it would be nice to include on as perhaps one of the questions. What are your goals in short and long process and long term? Goals in short-term goals and long-term goals, and perhaps that would be a good item for their videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gracias, Brenda.
Gracias, Miriam.
I'll put that as something that they can select from. That would be good. I'll add that to our question pool.
Yeah.
In general, I avoided prescribing exactly what they needed to say because I wanted them to say what they were motivated to say.
Mhm.
You know, the part that sparked their interest rather than try to guess what it is we wanted to hear, but talk about where they thought they had something to offer.
Mm.
Said,
El que
said
menciona es que ella quisiera que el estudiante fuera realmente más espontáneo en cuestión qué es lo que les nace compartir. Yes, I understand, but sometimes it's also important to give them some sort of like a guidance so they won't get out of, the
right,
their vision, and this comes up to be something else.
right.
Yeah, I understand.
So, which is why I guided them back to those questions to choose one, because in a minute, that's about all you can cover, one or two, but at any rate, well, we can, and all of this, we can do our best shot at it. And then when we think, oops, well, and they will have done it before, because each year you need to reapply, and therefore we can, you can supply us more information. We'll have a nice backlog of stuff that we can use.
Dice que conforme vayamos obteniendo información, vamos a ver qué es lo que está funcionando y qué cambios se podrían hacer también.
Okay, and then at the end of all of that, and that's kind of what we were talking about with Scott. Those are all the things that you need to submit so that they know they've got it all. But if we have the form and you got to attach the documents, that would be another way to get at that last, submit all these. They due whenever we decide that they're due. I thought Ides of March would be just my thinking, and we can talk timeline later, but my thinking was if they did it in March and we did all our selection in April, then it would happen before I leave. But you guys are welcome to do it after I'm gone.
Oh, you mean selection? When are you planning to?
Not this year. Not
This year. Okay.
Not this year, but I'm just trying to get it set up. So this would be the ongoing thing. So they would know every year on the 15th of March or whatever it is when you have to have your application in. So it doesn't change. It just is when it is.
Yeah, to give a deadline, right?
To give a deadline that stays the same. So.
Sí, está pensando que si se da la fecha límite, supongamos, no para este año que entra, sino para el próximo, que en el mes de marzo sea cuando los estudiantes puedan mandar sus aplicaciones. ¿Qué opinas tú en cuestión de esa fecha del mes, Brenda?
¿Me podría repetir, Miriam?
Estaba mencionando Leslie, si las fechas para que el mes en el que los estudiantes aplicaran, mandaran su información para aplicar para una beca, sería en el mes de marzo para hacer la selección, para trabajar en ello en el mes de abril, no de este año que entra, sino del próximo.
Pues sí, es buen tiempo, Miriam. Sí.
Bien,
¿Para principios de marzo?
Sí, es mejor que sea como a principios de marzo.
Okay, yeah. She says that first weeks, the first week perhaps of March would be a good, to give them a good deadline.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, okay, so this is the next item, Leslie?
Right, so that basically is what I had, and we're 5 minutes after. That's better than I thought we would do. What I can do is to go and take the notes I've made, oh no, yeah. Take the notes that I have made and incorporate those in here, so we haven't lost that work, and carry on from there. Does that sound right? And hit our service component next time we.
Okay, include that for next, that conversation for the next week.
Yeah,
I'm
weeks.
sorry, for the next meeting.
You know, I think the next meeting is gonna be the scholarships again. Is that what was decided? Because we weren't gonna meet the 28th. Because it was in the middle of Christmas vacation, and then it was the 4th. So my question was, so was that back to this, or, I mean, if you have stuff for education, that's fine. I can put this off until then,
It's
I
fine.
can go whenever.
It's fine.
I
The
can start
scholarship,
right now.
I have it on my
probably
calendar.
a
The
good
scholarship
idea.
program committee meeting is on January the 4th.
Okay,
Yeah. And the next education meeting is on January the 11th.
okay, so this will be for the 4th, so I'll get these changes made, and we'll meet again on the 4th.
Okay. Entonces, para la siguiente junta en referencia de las becas va a ser en enero 4 y se va a hablar ahí lo que viene siendo el área sobre servicio social, Brenda, y la próxima junta para el comité de educación va a ser el día 11 de enero.
Enero 4 sería igual a la 1.
At 1 p.m., sí, a la 1. Todas son a la 1 de la tarde.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfecto.
so,
Muchas gracias.
and Leslie, if you like to, once you have all your notes and revise what you presented, if you want me to look at it and do the translation, and once we have that, we can send it to Scott, or should we just wait until we get the service, the part covered? What do you think?
Well, I think that one's up to you all. I'm happy to do this and send it on and make adjustments as necessary. If you would rather have, either of you would rather have it all at once and just do it once, then.
I would prefer making the form once the form's final.
Okay.
Final and
So-
translated.
So what if I send it to you, Miriam, and that way you can get started on that part, because that translation part is.
I think if you can send it to me and I'll have it translated what you have. And the reason is because in January, I'm going to be taking it's not a master's degree, but I'll be starting school for translators.
Oh,
So, and I'll be preparing for my admissions exam. And so I won't have much time. So as much as I can do before the, during this month, I'll be more than happy to help you because I'll have the time. Next month would be a little more challenging for me.
Right, okay, good. Then I will get it to you pronto. And that is good, because this is as I'm thinking through, the major part that needs to get translated. After this, we're going to be dealing with donors, and that can all be in English. I mean, at some time it'd be nice to have it in Spanish too, but for the most part, we can get by in English, but obviously this is critical to have in Spanish.
Okay.
And do look at the documents from Father Jesse, because you'll recognize.
I'll use them too, because, sometimes it's just wording and
Yeah, they just state it differently,
terms,
call
yes.
it somehow differently, but you'll understand what the idea is.
It will be very helpful, yes, since they already done this. Okay,
Okay.
I'll be more than happy when you're ready.
Well, thank you all much. I really appreciate it. And, I will also include the photo consent form, which I think is almost direct, well, somewhat directly off of his with all of our stuff put in. So, but that needs to be in here too.
Okay, great. Thank you, Leslie, for your work. It's been great.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Very
Looking
appreciated.
forward to it. I appreciate you giving me good feedback.
Okay. Thank you. Gracias, Brenda. ¿Algo que gustes agregar? ¿Algún comentario?
No, pues a todos que pasen una feliz Navidad
Ah,
y,
igualmente.
y pues, un feliz año nuevo también.
Igualmente, feliz Navidad, feliz año nuevo, que para el año que entra estés al 100%,
Sí.
que estés mucho mejor de salud. I'm telling her, yes, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully next year she'll be 100% well, so
Yes.
she'll be up and running, but take care. Brenda, cuídate muchísimo.
Sí, gracias.
Te queremos
viernes-
al 100%. ¿Ah?
Sí, el viernes vamos a tener una reunión con la gente de la comunidad para ya mandarte por correo lo de las respuestas de las preguntas.
¿De cuáles preguntas?
Para lo del tema del autobús, no, microbús.
Oh, okay. So she's having a meeting with the community to come up with the answers, to answer the questions that the board came up with in regards of the minibus request. Okay.
Okay.
Muchas gracias, Brenda. Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year if I don't see you before the end of the
Same-
year. And
same
take
to
care of
you.
yourselves. Benet, I
Yeah.
hope you feel better too. Take care of yourself. And well, see you next time.
I have an
Okay.
update on those computers. It's not good, but I can leave it with you now since I'll be gone for a little while. It was I think the woman who told me spoke too soon because I spoke with the gentleman who's doing the work in the States, and they are not available to us.
It's okay. Something will come up. I actually paid a visit to the University of Mexicali, and they have a very nice computer lab and a library lab too. And they just need not much help, but they're doing well. And she's appreciative of it, and no problem. Thank you, Bene.
Okay. All right, everybody, take good care. God
You too.
bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Renee, when are you gonna be back?
The 5th, January 5th.
Oh.
So will Gabe be back? I'm just wondering if enough people will be around the 4th, because our service piece is a major piece.
Okay, so would you rather switch it to the 11th?
I can either switch it to the 11th, or we can just do it later in the week, or I don't know, but I don't know if Gabe's gonna be around. And
I don't think he'll be around on the 4th. Oh, well, I'm not sure. Lucy told me that she's taking him everywhere.
and away they
She's
go.
claiming Gabe.
Okay, well, I can understand her point, but
I know.
it might just be Scott and I, which would be fine, but on the other hand, but it's the service piece is one that really involves everybody. Because as I have it envisioned, we would work with them in their, give it to you really short and then see, well, yeah, we all need to be there, or no, just go do it. I can either way. But at the point that we're distributing funds, they come and they bring their documents. They have one place to get those checked off. They go to another place, they do their documentation for their service, and then get their funds, and they make their plan for the next semester. But I was thinking there's all sorts of things in terms of working on committees in Rotary that they could do. They could be a resource when we're having the thing, and you're having the thing, I'm not going to be here, sorry to say, in the Valley this summer. It would be a wonderful place if we had a list of people to call that said, oh yes, I would be happy to come and do volunteer hours there. For sure, the Rotary Kids is another one. And and lots of the shoe distribution that we do, and they would be at least fluent in Spanish, which is something that we often struggle with.
If
You know,
you
that
feel
could
more
help.
comfortable, to know, well, that Gabe will be back and Benet as well. What we can do, we can just cancel the 4th
Okay,
because this is the first week of the year, so
yeah,
it's
okay.
understandable. So
Yeah.
what if we cancel the 4th and the 11th? We meet on the 11th, and if
Okay.
anything, we can just communicate through email. But
Right.
we can announce that the 4th will be canceled, that meeting, and
Yeah.
on the 11th we'll have the scholarship. Do you think it'll take us like about an hour to talk about the scholarship committee?
Yeah, we made good progress on this, the rest of this, and yeah, I think we can do it. We can do it in an hour.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll do the scholarship on the 11th. I'll send the email with the copy of this email and with this video instead of notes.
Okay,
Because I don't know if Benet, I didn't ask. I asked for volunteers, but since it's okay, we can send the email as a
right.
resource.
Yep. No, that sounds good, and I likewise, I can make these changes and send these to the whole committee, because that kind of the summary of what we did will be
Yes.
the changes that are on here, so.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, well, yeah, that I think will work better, because I don't want to get all ready and then nobody can come, because I think it's such a,
Yes, it's
it's the
important.
unique part that we do, and so to make it
Yes,
fit
definitely.
and
Yeah.
get everybody's input on it will be really important, like Brenda's. I mean, she obviously has wonderful things already in her head. Oh yeah, they could do this, they could do that, so.
Mhm.
So we can,
So
have
are
that.
you guys leaving Mexico, Leslie? You keep
we leave every 1st of May and we come back 1st of October.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Go to Alaska and do our PNE deal,
Yeah.
and we come back again.
Oh.
So at any rate, so I will do that again, but this will all be set up and ready to go, and hopefully we'll just be out beating the bushes trying to get some money, so so
Yes,
we'll be
we
ready
will.
to go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay,
I'm
bye.
glad I finally got it right sized. This seemed to work better, so I'm
Good.
good to do it. Okay.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you,
Good
Benet.
to feeling better, Benet.
Guys, happy holidays.
Get well
God
and happy
bless.
holidays, and have an awesome time in during
you.
your trip.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you, honey.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.